Hey guys, new video here. Want to talk about my starter build and how it went for the first couple days. I guess we won't talk about the first day because server issues and everything, right? Couldn't really play the first day, but yesterday I was streaming and I realized that I was going to make the switch to Burning Arrow really fast from this Armageddon brand build starter, and I wanted to like make this video to kind of like save in place for the people in chat that were asking like, what build did you do to get to that point? Like, what were the upgrade order, you know, ascendancy orders, how does it play, how did it progress, were there any issues with it? And so this will be for a command in my Twitch chat. So I started with the Armageddon brand starter. You level with like, you know, the obvious like Orb Storms, Frostbomb, all that good stuff that's been around for a while. And in the video here, all right, above me, you'll see my boy Havoc 616, pretty good racer, right? So I took this video, and he has a POB in the link here, but I'll just link this video and I'll link his POB in my description below, so you can just copy that if you want. And this is a Act 1 to Act 10 speed run, right? So if it works for the racers, it's going to work for you. And then in this video, you'll see how to progress to if you want to go to the Burning Arrow. Okay. So one thing I've noticed is that the moment I switched to Armageddon brand at level 28, it was amazing. It worked right out of the box. I had a 3-link to start, and then when you put on a 4-link, you put on some Ignite Pro Lift, right? And you feel pretty good. There's really no challenge at all in the game, all the way up until the maps. So the act bosses, even like the really thick ones, you know, the Trinity and the Katav and all that stuff just melted. It was all like kind of phased, and you can kind of like see in the video here, he's about to fight Azaro, and the damage is really nice. You have a supplementary flame wall. A lot of people use cremation. One thing that I want to kind of bring up is that the build when leveling, even with like no gear, you can use whatever you want, was so strong that I felt personally that you didn't really need cremation. Obviously cremation as an extra supplementary single target, once you put in like an LMP or a GMT, what it will do is that it will speed up your single target to the point where, like, if you're truly in that racing mindset, you will save some time. But I felt that just using a flame wall, I had a walk and a flammability that was self-casting until I could link the flammability wave of conviction into a hex touch. If I had an extra 3-link, you know, that was fine as well, because that just makes them take so much more damage. That with the flame wall, the curse, and the wave of conviction, and of course the Armageddon brand igniting, that was enough for everything. I mentioned this because I felt that it was super annoying setting up Desecrate, right? So the way that the Desecrate works is that you desecrate the corpses on the ground, and now there's corpses for cremation, because cremation requires a corpse, right? And then the second thing that you need is that you need you need to spawn the geysers, right? For the sorry, did I say that's great? You need to spawn the geysers for the cremation. You can have 3 of them up, so that's like additional cast there. And then the mob needs to be in the cremation. You know, they can't move around or still do any damage. It's just kind of like annoying to set up, right? So I was like, how can I make this smoother so that, like, you know, most people playing the build, you know, you don't want to press that many buttons. You just want to have a good time, a relaxing time while leveling. And so Flame Wall was the answer. And I felt that the Flame Wall dot, right? You don't have any projectiles because we're not going like the KB variant, but the secondary debuff does work. You know, the monster just has to like get hit by the flame wall and then be out of the flame wall. That dot plus the burn from the Armageddon brand was enough. So my thoughts on leveling is that, you know, flame wall, a little bit of wave of conviction, a little bit of flammability if you want, and then the Armageddon brand was more than enough. But definitely try out cremation if you want that like super burst single target, if you feel that that was necessary. That's not really a problem. You might just be constrained and have some pressure on your sockets and links, right? So you can see like in this video up here, you know, it's flying through, and this is pretty much how the leveling is. The great thing is you put down the Armageddon brand and you just run away. Armageddon brand in the past has had this issue where there's that little delay of that first hit, and then even like going cast speed or like having some cast speed doesn't really help that too much, because it's like it sticks to the target, then it smashes down, very much unlike the Storm brand that you might be used to from previous leaks. And that is a little bit jarring sometimes when you first start playing, because you have this feeling of wanting to stick around and see if the mobs die, but you really don't need to do that. Once you lay down the Armageddon brands, and you can have like 3 of them, they're just gonna stick to everything. You're gonna run past, and they're gonna keep hitting. Initially your hit damage is gonna be okay as well. It won't all be Ignite, especially if you don't have like the Ignite Pro Lift or anything, but that's fine. You just walk off screen, you'll get the notification if an item drops, right? The loot fillers do have like the sound notification, so don't worry too much about that. You have the icons on the map, and you will see your XP bar moving pretty darn fast. Okay, if you've ever played a bad starter build, you'll know that there's a lot of times where even encountering like a rare or a blue pack or something like that, you're like, man, I don't know if my damage is bad or the mobs are super hard or something, because I feel really bad right now. And rest assured, there's no there was never a bad feeling time during this level. Okay, so that's basically the 1 to 10. Once again, I will link this video that you see and his POB, Havoc's POB that I used from 1 to 10. I didn't go with any of the mana nodes on his tree because he's playing hardcore. So if you don't go hardcore, you can save a lot of points off that mana. You don't need the mind over matter, and you can just go into I don't know, more flat life or more damage if you want, which is what I recommend for a softcore player. Okay, so that is the 1 through 10. Now, this is the important part and how I felt about the build. Now, it is important to note that in this build, ultimatums are actually pretty darn good. I usually don't fail any ultimatums. I only fail ultimatums, knocking the last waves, if there's the red circles. As if you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, there's those red circles you need to stand in, and that is so annoying. It takes so long, it's so boring, so stressful. I will cancel those early, right, by not going early waves if I don't see a good reward on the next wave, just because, like, that's just not fun, right? But any of the other things this build excels at, because what you're going to be doing is when you have your Ignite Prolift, your Armageddon brand is going to have kind of an area of like a denial, right, where like mobs will spawn in, and all the white mobs and blue mobs, the prolifts will be killing them without you actively having to cast at them most of the time. So it's very safe. Obviously, you know, hit builds, crit builds that can like freeze and stun really easily, those are really nice for ultimate too, but I didn't have any issue. And currently I'm getting through like the yellow maps. This might change in red maps, I don't know, but like at that point I'll be burning arrow and I'll be cruising through. So very good for the white and yellows. Never had an issue with any map bosses, any ultimatums, super smooth. The Elementalist, one thing I will say about the Ascendancy that's pretty crazy is that you're gonna notice that you get this little thing called the Bastion of Elements. Now this got nerfed by about a quarter, about 25%. I never played Elementals after the rework, so I didn't really know how good it was. And this thing is crazy because a lot of the range attacks are just elemental. A lot of projectiles are elemental. You know, physical hits are basically what you expect, right? A mob starts swinging at you, and if it connects, you take a lot of damage, right? But you're kind of speedy in the build, you're kind of teleporting around, you're always moving, so the elemental aid just becomes even better because the things that are going to hit you are probably elemental. And so what this does is that it completely negates that elemental damage, and if you stop taking damage after a while, after a small amount of time, it just starts recharging, and then you're all good. And it's like let me take a look here. Right now 2.2 k damage prevented. It's insane, and it recharges it. That's on top of your life pool, so very tanky. And it gets even better because it's only elemental damage, right? When you have things like the goal, because the goal, one of the most common shrines, is a +3 max resist, right? That thing looks like the little circle icon. You click on that, and then your resist will go from 75 to 78. Okay, it can go higher if you have +1 items. For example, if you had like +1 max cold resist, and you're at 76, then you go to 79, right? So very good there, because that is essentially a less multiplier, right? 3 divided by 25, less damage taken, and that has to go through your primal aegis as well. Really crazy stuff there. The order that I took these in is the normal lab. I went the Shaper of Flames. You'll notice this. You will definitely notice this early on. It's kind of crazy. Then I went for the Jolem nodes because Jolem buffs provide a lot of benefit. And then I went the Bastion last for Uber Lab. Okay. This is all good because you get all these really fast, since you know you can now put an offering of the goddess inside your map device to spawn a random offering that you can kind of like fish for the ones that you are missing. This is especially helpful in solo self-found if you're wondering, you know, oh man, my Uber lap right for the last 2 points. So that's the order. And then from the if you're looking at the POB from the leveling video that we just saw here, I'm actually just gonna put this up just because it just looks cool, right? Like the Armageddon brand takes care of everything. Innocence, super annoying fight, but just so I have something to watch. So when I first got to maps, right, the first thing that I got, if you look on the right side, was the Tabula. Now the Tabula was really nice because I thought to myself, okay, my ignites are really good, so I want to get a Tabula because adding 2 more links is going to make those ignites even fatter, right? Later on, you're going to be going for like cluster jewels, you'll be going for like lethal prides and stuff that give you ignites are faster, right? So with those things, you know, the bigger the initial ignites, and then they tick faster, you know, it cleans up things a lot faster, so a little bit less lag, a little bit less clutter on the screen, and most importantly, ultimatum, I think for most people is an amazing league. I think Grinding Gear did a great job They really nailed it with like, it's kind of fun for everybody. There's a good sense of risk reward. It is really like pop in, pop out. The mechanics make sense. You know, the rewards are really good. I've never gotten so much C just from like reliably from just like white maps, right? It's kind of crazy. And while leveling, you know, if you do some ultimatums while you're leveling, you can probably just straight up buy a tabby before you even fight Kitava. Seriously. So, you know, people worry a lot about speed these days, but you know, it's a 3-month league. You know, take your time, hit some ultimatums while you're leveling, hit some ultimatums whenever you see them in any map. Never skip them in maps, no matter what the tier is. Whether it's a Zaba map, whether it's a normal map, whether it's a Conqueror map, just don't skip them. And so the tabby gave me that ignite damage, was reliable to all the way through yellow maps. Put down the Armageddon brand, run past. Just like with leveling that you see here in the video, that is how you will play the maps. It's I'm still kind of getting used to the drop the couple Armageddon brands and run away. I still have this feeling of like, if I don't see the mob die right away or like on my screen, I want to like hang around a little bit. But once you get past that, you are truly zooming, and it is pretty sick on your way to Burning Arrow. Okay, so Tabula was actually my very first upgrade, right? Because this is the most common question. Hey, like what'd you do when you got to maps? Like, how did you upgrade this? Which one would you rather buy for these? Because there's a lot of uniques for this build that carry over into the Burning Arrow build. And some people, since some of them are like over 100C, some people will be like, oh, I don't want to buy the wrong one first, but you really can't go wrong with it. So after the Tabula, I was thinking, okay, what's like a fun item? And that is the goal. Okay, the goal is like 1 ounce or something. And the reason it's so good is, once again, I already told you about the Elemental Aegis and the +3 max res you can get, but the goal gives you things like AoE, things like Brutality, which works for the ignite damage. Brutality, not the support gem, the shrine that looks like a spiky club, right? That one's like kind of an uncommon one. You get acceleration shrine, which is pretty sick. Okay, now acceleration shrine is good in a couple ways, because, you know, obviously movement speed, but you know, the cast speed doesn't really matter too much when you're ignite Armageddon brand, right? Because it's not a hitting Armageddon brand, but it does speed up the animation the tiny bit, so that on the second activation, what you're gonna see is like maybe mobs come into view, and then that second slam is a little bit faster. So every little reduction of delay between animations means a little bit more safety, right? The mobs can die a little bit faster, you get a pseudo AoE, all that kind of good stuff. So the goal, super fun item. If you have not tried it out already, highly recommend. And it's cheap, so why not, right? Great fun for a first item. After that, I got the Bisco's Leash. Okay, the Bisco's Leash is a belt. It has cold res on it. It's got some strength. There's a tiny bit of life. It's got quantity when leveling in the ultimate. It's pretty cool. And this belt is so great because it gives you Rampage. If you don't know what Rampage is, Rampage basically has a stacking counter up to 1,000. Basically, you've killed mobs recently in the last 4 seconds. It will stack all the way to 1,000. And at 1,000 stacks, this gets tiered all the way up, but at 1,000 you get up to 20% movement speed, and you get, I think, is it 100% damage, something like that? So that's global damage, affects the ignites, and just looks really cool. Also, that speed is nice for the ultimatums when you're running around from all those chickens, you know, that are like chasing you around. And then additionally, it has bonuses at certain thresholds. Now you can go to PoE Wiki, you can Google PoE Rampage and see the kill streaks, right? You know, kill 50 mobs, 60 mobs, 100 mobs, 120 mobs. All kinds of crazy stuff will happen. You know, you can summon some AGs, not AGs, AWs, some anime weapons to kind of like a pseudo tank for you. You can summon some cool little stun spears, which stun enemies and do a little bit of damage. You can summon the DD, the mass DD, which is like explosions of all corpses on the ground, which can clear out an ultimatum for you really nicely. A little bit of safety there. So it's just super cool. A little bit laggy, I will warn you, a little bit laggy if your PC isn't that great. So be careful there. You can also use Shadows and Dust for Rampage if you so choose, if there's a belt that you really can't give up. So that was my third upgrade. Okay, so far Tabby, then the goal, then I went Bisco's. Bisco's was 14C when I bought it. The goal was like 1 or 2C when I bought it, but now they are incredibly cheap. Okay, after that, what I did is I went the Barracks Respite. Now this ring right here is kind of interesting, right? Because we've seen this ring around. It comes from Sparkling the Flame. You can farm it in different areas. It usually ends up being super cheap, even though it is I don't know, 100 200 times more rare than the Barracks Pass and the Barracks Grip. And what it's gonna do is, like, you don't really care about any of the other mods. I mean, the added fire damage is nice because that adds to the ignite mana, and a little bit of resist for the implicit is nice. But what you're really looking for is you are looking for that ignite spreads to nearby enemies, right? Because the ignite prolif, it's like when the skill hits and ignites, right? And then the barracks is like what it does is a corpse on the ground will have this little like glowing circle thingy, and it goes through walls, it goes through pillars. It's got you might wonder why Ignite Prolif, the gem, and this, and is it because they both do work together. And the ignited enemy, you'd be surprised at how much clear that can provide you. Like when you see these big chains from it, or when you see it go through a wall with that radius, you're gonna be like, okay, that's pretty nice. So absolutely worth the cost. It gets better the more dense the map is. So for ultimatums, it's amazing. When you start using a couple sextants on your maps, it's really good. When you start ouch and corrupting your maps, it's really good. Okay, so that was definitely my second purchase there. It was 89C when I bought it. I don't know how much it is now. And then the next one that I got was the Searing Touch. Okay, so Searing Touch is interesting, and there's another swap for this that I'm going to bring up because I wanted to try this, but I already went Searing Touch, so I can't try it because I'm about to transition to Burning Arrow today. So Searing Touch has fire multi. Oh look, I have a dump tap sale. What is that? Let me invite this guy real quick. So Searing Touch has been changed to Lathy now, and it is a really good for Ignite builds because you have +2 global gems there, right? So that +2, the more base damage on your armor brand means more Ignite. Let me just do this real quick here. We have 8.5. What is this thing called? Dire Braid. Wait, is it over here? Right here. Dire Braid. 8.5. It is accuracy, 61 life, 47 lightning res, 0.4 leech. This is okay. It's 8 that's nice hand, I guess. Yeah, dump tap sales, by the way. Feels good. All right, thank you, sir. So back to the Searing Touch. The Searing Touch gives you the global damage for Ignite. It gives you the cast speed, which is kind of helpful, right? Getting out of animations. Once again, 80% fire damage. That works for Ignite. And then the fire damage multi. Now, this roll, you'll see, is actually not that great, right? Because 46 out of 60. But I'm not really willing to waste a Divine on this because, like, you know, who really cares, right? The I'm going to be switching to Burning Arrow, so I'm not willing to invest the Divine in this. And Divine's only like a few C, so probably should. But really good damage. It can, if you have like really bad gear or whatever, it might even double your damage. It'll probably double your damage, right? And that's really nice. So a safe bet there. You don't need a 5-link or anything. I just bought mine and it was 5-linked. You can get like a 4-link for your flame wall. Now there is another thing you can do, and I think that this one's actually better because it just like has more upside if you want to stay Armageddon brand for longer, and that is the thing called a Martyr of Innocence. Martyr of Innocence gives you Battle Mage, which adds all the staff damage into your spell. It adds a little fizz damage, which is insane, and it has different kinds of damage scaling than what you see on this staff, as the stats are different, but the damage scaling is a little bit more. And the reason I might, if I were to do this again as a starter, I'll probably buy a Martyr of Innocence, both because even though it's a super rare staff, it is incredibly cheap, you know, and it probably is cheaper than the Searing Touch. And what you're gonna do with the Martyr of Innocence is that the added damage actually becomes more than the Searing Touch, because if you look at Armageddon brand, it has 85 effectiveness, right? So you should try it out if you haven't already. It's really nice. And then physical damage scales with different things. For example, if you put in Inspired Learning, that's going to scale a lot better with Martyr of Innocence. There's a Herald of I forgot to take out my Herald of Ass until like this morning. I just forgot that didn't affect the Ignite damage. If you use a Herald of Ass right here, that is that fizz damage as extra fire damage. The fizz damage from the staff as extra fire damage, so it's a little bit more fire damage for the Ignite. And then you get a cool little MTX because it explodes in like a little circle. Oh, look, another dump tap sale here. Let me go and sell that. And that factors into be like, for example, if I had 300k with Searing Touch, I would have probably like 330, 340k with the Martyr of Innocence, and once again scaling up more, right? As when if I put in a Herald of Ass or a Inspired Learnings or anything like that, right? There's even nodes down here that have conversion as extra. Like for example, there's like stuff like this. There's like some stuff down here. Ooh, he's trading me before I'm ready. Hold on, Agony Coil. Let me show you another dump tap sale. Make sure you do dump tap sales too. Lots of free C in there. A lot of casual C. I don't have that. Is it here? Oh, right here. Let's go and trade. Wait, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Yeah, he still wants it. Okay, so that is one thing to consider. Okay, Martyr of Innocence, and Battle Mage is just like so strong. I think a lot of these like big changes to Ascendancy and stuff, I think we just haven't tried enough, right? Because they're pretty recent, and sometimes when there's like too much text to like something, it's like, oh man, I don't know what that does. I don't want to try it. But Martyr of Innocence is pretty darn cool. Okay, I don't know what that ring was, but it seemed pretty bad. So that is the weapon that you're gonna go with next. And so once you have all these things, then it's time to put on the primordial chain. Okay, be careful, because when you put on primordial chain, if you're using skitter bots before, you can't use your skitter bots anymore. And skitter bots were used for shock, but the moment you put this on, it will be deactivated. Okay, that's a decision you have to make. Primordial chain, what it does is it basically gives you more Jolems. You know, that feeds into the Elementalist node right here. Super good. Gives you all the buffs. If you have more buffs, then you can kind of put in like a mantra of flames as well. That's kind of cool, right? That adds to the ignite. And this is kind of expensive. I think this thing's like 2 or 3 exalts right now, but I would say it's worth it. I know some survivability. You know, they kind of tank for you. You can see the ultimatum mobs definitely attacking your Golem sometimes instead of you. That's kind of nice. And so I really like this item. And then when you go the burning arrow, it will be a good crossover, right? You're not going to change it. So, you know, like the barracks, these purchases that you're making, you can just use on your burning arrow build if you want to swap, right? Like the belt I'll still use until Diadian Dawn, because like Diadian is just like way too good. The helmet is kind of hilarious until Asenath's Chant, right? You get some Song of the Sekima prophecy if you want. Now, these things are expensive though, so you get some really good use out of this. Tabula you can just keep forever, who cares, right? Until you get, I don't even know what chest I'm going to use for that. And then the barracks fight you're going to keep pretty much forever for the double ignite prolif. So right, lots of good like future proofing, you know. So that's what I took here, and this is basically it. I mean, you know, I got the Armageddon brand, I got the burning damage, I got the combustion. These are recently flipped into by selling it with 1 GCP at level 20. Immolate, the deadly ailments, you know. I got the second win with my flame dash. I really like using the flame dash. I don't use smoke mine because it's just annoying, right? If you want to go faster, you can smoke mine in maps, but man, I don't know if your fingers can take that for too much longer. So flame dash with the second win is enough for me. Arcane surge doesn't actually add to the spell damage. Well, it does add to spell damage, but spell damage doesn't affect ignite damage. The reason I have an arcane surge here is because when you use it, you get a little bit of mana, and having lots of your mana reserved and having more mana is kind of cool, right? So it's a little bit of a bonus there, I guess. Carry on Golem, a lot of people ask why use Carry on Golem, but it doesn't provide you with any buffs, right? And you're not a minion based build. Not really, right? They're not doing most of the damage. Well, I just like the MTX for it, and I just like leveling this so that when it hits 20, I can flip it, and it's another Golem that I have leveling, so I can maybe like sell it later or whatever, right? MTX is pretty important to me, but I have the Ice Golem, the Flame Golem, the Stone Golem, the Chalice Golem, and they are pretty cool. Something if you want min-max is like, if you don't want the Carrion Golem and you only want like true buff Golems, you probably want to summon, because you're gonna have 7 Golems, right? So you want to summon doubles of the ones that give the best buffs when one of them dies, right? For example, let's say your Stone Golem dies, you only have 1. They do resummon really nicely for the Elementalist, because like, look, see, they resummon, where is it? Right here. They resummon after 4 seconds, right? Keep in mind, if you zone out, they won't. So like if your Golem dies and then you go back to town right away, they won't resummon. You have to be in the zone, but it's not that big a deal. But if you're wondering why they don't resummon sometimes, that's why. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna get 2 of the ones that you want, right? For keeping the buff. So it's, once again, as I was saying before, if your Stolen Golem dies and you only have 1 of them, then you lose the buff. If your Chalice Golem dies and you only have 1 of them, you don't have that reduction of damage anymore, right? But if you have 2 of them and then 1 of them dies, then the buff stays, right? The buffs do not stack. That's also another common question. So if you have like 7 of one type, it's not going to multiply that buff by 7. That'd be ridiculous, right? So it's just for redundancy in case they die, and they will die. They are really strong. They are immune to the LE damage and all that, but ultimatum is crazy. Okay, like there's so many mobs around, they're hitting so hard. They got physical damage all over the place, stuff on the ground all over the place, you know, Chow's degen. They are gonna die sometimes, okay? And it's not a big deal or anything, but that's something you can think about if you want to min-max a little bit. Okay, other things I have, the auras, male violence. Anger's also good. Like if you could run Anger, or you have the mana for it and a lightning or whatever, you could definitely do that. It does add to the ignite damage. Okay, I'm using the Wave of Conviction, Hex Touch, Flammability once again because 1 button is better than 2, right? If you cast 1 Wave of Conviction and it hits, it'll also apply the flammability. Otherwise you have to cast them both individually, and more button presses is, man, it's just adding an extra button press when you already have all these buttons is super annoying. Okay, other rings are just like for stats and resist. You're gonna need like 185 dex, I think, for the bow. So you know, get some resist, get some dex, get some life on your other rares, right? It's basically the usual starting stuff. Make sure your res are capped. Get chalice res if you can, because the miasma node on the ultimate is a free one, right? It does nothing. And even if you stack it up, you have like, you know, any kind of chalice res, it's gonna be hilarious. Hilariously easy, that is. So basics for rares: life, dex if you can get it, and then cap your res, over cap your res for LE weakness for when you get to the higher tier maps where curses start showing up very frequently. Offhand gems, I just level offhand gems that are for my burning arrow, and then in the tree, like after you look at the leveling tree, this is basically my tree. I went for life. The reason I went for so many life nodes here is I just was so lazy that I didn't want to like do whoops on stream for the cluster jewels that I'll be using. Cluster jewels, there's so many good ones, right? Get the fire ones that have like things like, you know, ignite, maybe like damage over time multiplier, ignites take faster. That's super good. I think one called like blowback or something like that. You can look them up. There's so many of them. You can look at the PoE Ninja, copy other people's, right? This is basically the tree for now. I'll obviously be changing things like for bows. I won't like use this or anything. I'll switch all this around a little bit, because the bow version will be slightly different, but this is the Armageddon brand leveling that I've gone with. What do you put in your jewel slots? Well, besides the Mantra of Flames, I just have like some trash that I found from ultimatums. You get, I mean, just some life here. That one's just like a life jewel. What's this one right here? Yeah, that's just life AoE. That's just like a abyssal jewel I found while doing ultimatum. So whatever you pick up, you know, 2 jewel sockets is always 2-point jewel sockets is always good. So just put something in there, and it's probably better at this level. I'm level 90 right now, than, you know, taking a random node usually, right? So that's it. That's the Armageddon brand build. I've been so happy with it. Now I'll compare this to what's like the last time I felt really smooth with the build? Oh, Spell Slinger. Before they nerfed the Spell Slinger reservation at the low levels, remember the any kind of Spell Slinger leveling? It was like that. Because I remember when I did that level, I was like, oh man. And I think that was where I did like a 4.5 hour Katava 10, which is like unnaturally fast for me, right? Like I usually spend like 20 hours to get to maps or whatever. But you know, it was kind of like that. And you will just breeze through everything. It's really like dummy proof. If you don't know what you're doing, you just like follow the basics links. You have enough damage, and the mechanics are good enough where you will be able to cruise through and you will never feel bad. Okay, I will say this: I've never felt bad on this build once again, and that's sometimes good enough for people to choose a star build, to be reliable all the way until they can play the real build that they want, or farm for the real build they want. So check it out. Once again, links in the description for Havoc's video and his POB, and then I'll have this POB because I'm gonna make sure you look at the POB and not import from my account, because this will be switched to Burning Arrow tonight, so it will be completely different. You'll be like, this doesn't match the video, right? So links in the description. Check that out. What else do I say in these? It's been a while since I made a video. I don't know what I say at the end of these. Click on the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Yeah, is that what? No, I never say that, but do it. And follow me on if you have any other questions, you can follow me on twitch.tv/Keto_. I stream every day in Chicago time, about 8 o'clock, 8:30, something like that. Now it's league start. I might start a little bit early, and that's it. I guess follow me on Twitter too. Okay, thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you guys enjoy your league launch. It was super fun. Okay, bye guys, bye.